Imagine a book so influential that it has shaped laws, art, and entire civilizations for thousands of years. Now imagine that this book wasn't just written all at once, but over centuries by dozens of different authors, and still comes together as one unified text. That book is the Bible. Understanding the history of the Bible helps explain why it has had such a massive impact on the world. It also allows us to explore how some of its stories connect to real historical events. The Bible, written and preserved over centuries, reflects over divine inspiration and the careful guidance of religious communities. And while some parts are matters of faith, many of its accounts are reported by historical evidence. First, let's look at how the Bible is written and published. The Bible wasn't created all at once. It developed over 1,500 years, with multiple authors writing in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. Early on, these writings were copied by hand onto scrolls, which made them rare and difficult to access. Later, they were organized into early book forms called codices, or codices. But the biggest change came from the printing press in the 1400s, which allowed the Bible to spread widely. As History.com says, the printing press made it possible for the Bible to be mass-produced and reach a much larger audience. Over time, translations also made it more accessible. The Greek Septuagint, the Latin Vulgate, and eventually the King James Version that we all know with the Bible helped bring the Bible to different parts of the world. But next, let's talk about who actually decided what went into the Bible. Not every ancient religious text was included. Religious leaders and church councils helped determine which books were considered canonical or canon, or officially accepted as scripture. These decisions were based on things like how widely a text was used and whether its teachings were consistent. According to scholar Craig Evans, the process of forming the Bible's canon involved evaluating texts for their historical and theological reliability. Some writings, known as the Apocrypha, were left out of the main Bible, but they still provided important, significant insight into the culture and beliefs of that time. Many people think of the Bible as purely religious, but historical and archaeological evidence actually supports many of its details. Ancient cities, rulers, and cultural practices mentioned in the Bible have been confirmed through historical records. For example, research discussed on a jw.org states that historical findings continue to support the accuracy and authenticity of many Bible accounts. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that everything in the Bible can be proven. Miracles and certain events are still matters of faith, but the amount of historical evidence suggests that the Bible reflects real people, places, and events. As we talked about, the Bible was written, how its books were chosen, and how historical evidence supports many of its accounts. I've also created a visual summary to help bring everything together right here. It lists some of the facts that you might not know, which I have listed before, why all this matters at the end of the day. Kind of gives the 3 big points which I talked about: the origins and development of the Bible, the canon formation, and historical reliability of everything, and also just kind of a final takeaway which I'll be talking about. This poster highlights all of that, and to conclude all this, we looked at how the Bible was written and published, who decided which books were included, and how historical evidence supports many of its accounts. The Bible, carefully compiled over centuries, contains historical elements that support many of its stories, even as it reflects faith and tradition. By understanding how it was created, we can better appreciate both of its influence on the world and its significance in our everyday lives.